Why is Doechii the most loved and hated hip hop artist right now? This is someone that everyone is talking about, but as she keeps ascending to higher and higher heights, she gets so much hate. And I think we need to talk about it. So I know the year has just started, but I think we can all agree that Doechii is the MVP in hip hop. This is an artist who just keeps winning and elevating. Just recently, she finished her debut at Paris Fashion Week and she looked amazing. I'm going to get into that later in this video. But with all of her wins, all of the exposure she's been getting, from Tiny Desk to the runway, there's been a lot of hate as well. And there was a really great article in Rolling Stone that I wanted to go over with you because I think it really does a good job unpacking where so much of this criticism is coming from. So, this is an op ed, it's a commentary piece by Doechii, and he's an amazing young writer who works at Rolling Stone. And the article is called "The Online Doechii Hate is Unwarranted." I'm going to link the article below so you can follow along. And it says the pushback the Grammy winning rapper has received is largely based on misconceptions, misogyny, and prejudice. Doechii's post Alligator Bites Never Heal, it's the name of her project, ascendance into rap stardom isn't a new dynamic. But it's been a while since we've seen a rap star ascendance that's not paired with controversial allegations, a zest for riling the public into social engagement, or dog whistling to incels. Her appeal is mostly based on her music, savvy creative direction, and considerable charisma. Watching her rise feels like a return to a bygone era of the music industry that Gen Z fans have never seen in a hip hop context. Maybe that's why some are so skeptical about her. This is absolutely right. So let's go back a little bit. I think for a lot of people, they learned about Doechii with the Alligator Bites Never Heal project, and it really was everywhere. She had these amazing music videos and visuals. She did NPR's Tiny Desk, which has really become probably one of the most foremost stages in all of the music industry. And then she took home a Best Rap Album Grammy, and it's been several years before a female rapper has taken home that accolade. Then you fast forward, she's at Paris Fashion Week. She looks incredible. She's getting a cosign from Lauryn Hill, who, by the way, rarely gives cosigns. So, like when Miss Hill speaks, everybody listens. And I think so many people are just loving this. I've said this on this channel so many times. It's been so long since we've been excited by hip hop. And what I always said following the Drake and Kendrick battle, I just can't wait for some new blood. Like, it's amazing. Kendrick is doing the Super Bowl and he's doing stadiums. Like, that's awesome. But who is the next in line? Who are those next ascendant artists that are going to take the throne? And I just love seeing a young, fresh artist, a woman, by the way, who just seems to be having so much fun. And it's that level of just charisma and excitement and exuberance that I think a lot of people are gravitating towards Doechii. Not only that, but she's an amazing performer. Like, it's one thing to focus on the outer packaging. And so many times, I think, in the music business or with art, we focus on the exterior. And for women especially, like, she's cute, I like how she dresses. And those are, I think, attributes that do draw fans in. But for true hip hop heads, we also want someone who can rap. We want someone who has like a flow, an editorial perspective as an artist. And she has all those things. And I think that's why it's just so exciting for people like myself in the music business. Like, we really feel like the person who's getting all of the attention, she has the artistry to back it up. It isn't just because she's a pretty face or who she's dating, or as this article points out, it's not about some online beef or doing something that's really leaning into sort of the toxicity that's going on in society. She just seems like an exuberant person who's having a great time. And by the way, she's also really talented. And quite frankly, it's refreshing. Now, these next lines, I think this really goes to the heart of all of this Doechii hate. So this is what Andre G writes. If the disdain is strictly about not liking the music, that's fine. No one has to enjoy everything. But the loudest online discourse feels more like projections of misogyny, queerphobia, colorism, and a fundamental misunderstanding of how the industry works. She's often faced commenters calling her an industry plant, and this happened after an interview she did with First We Feast. And then I love this line. So in the video, Doechii tells her DJ, Miss Milan, that a dating red flag for her is straight men, which outrage the men that idolize rappers who routinely call women everything but a child of God. She was accused of being part of an anti-male agenda. And then this kind of went deeper into this idea that she's not into heterosexual men, she doesn't love men, blah, blah, blah. But it's just so true. Like, we're in this era where just, the blatant disrespect of women, it isn't just relegated to hip hop. You see it in all facets of pop culture and politics and social media. I mean, for women right now, it's just such a toxic time to just like exist. And I think something like this, which was clearly like, a cheeky statement, it gets taken and sort of parsed and then sort of bastardized into something that it isn't. I don't think Doechii hates men or straight men, but it's this idea that she can't even say anything, which doesn't then get sort of dragged into something really ugly and then turns into personal insults against her. I can tell you personally, as a woman in this industry, I mean, how many times you have an actual critique or you articulate an opinion, and anyone who doesn't agree, it turns into this like flood of incels. It's, dragging your appearance and this and that. And it's all about degrading women because they're incapable of making an actual mature, cogent argument. And I think that's what's happening with Doechii as well. You can't deny the fact that she's talented. You can't deny the fact that she's beautiful and that people like her. So let's find every little thing and every little way to tear this girl down. And I just don't like it. And I really implore people, fans, especially male fans, like to sort of like man up and not really get swept up into this misogyny, this colorism, just this overall hatred of women that we just seem to be seeing across the board. I do also want to touch base on this whole idea that she's an industry plant. So it is true that Doechii is signed to TDE. This is the label that formerly Kendrick was on and developed him as a star. And it's the home to SZA. It's the home to Schoolboy. So this is a very respected imprint. Like, that's for sure. They have amazing contacts, a reputation in the industry. So, yeah, I mean, it wouldn't be surprising if they're leveraging some of those things for her. But how is that different from any other artist, right? Like, no one asks those questions when a male artist is getting these opportunities or platforms, whether he deserves it or not. When it comes to women, all of a sudden, she's an industry plant. She's somehow gaming the system, jumping ahead of the line. And that's the other thing, like people who've been following her, she's been around for a long time. You can literally go back into sort of the archives and just see her posting videos and doing things for, I want to say, well over a decade. So it's not like this was somebody, somebody's kid or someone just found them on the side of the road. Like, this is someone who has been around, and clearly you can see the comfort she has in her position now. There's a certain level of maturity and refinement and finesse, and that shit comes from being an artist and having that development, however you want to define artist development, over the course of several years. I honestly feel it all comes down to her being a woman who's just unabashedly herself And that's something that insecure men, I have to always sort of, qualify it. It's not all men, but I do think for insecure men, it really affects them. And when it comes to women in hip hop, whether you're an artist, whether you're a journalist, whoever you are, women are expected to really play a certain role. It's sort of like you're supposed to be seen and not heard, or the way that you present, whether it be in your appearance or on wax, it's really there to satisfy the male gaze, like sort of the heterosexual male gaze. And if you deviate from that, people have a problem. What I think is really funny, we had so many different female artists come out in the last few years. I would say it's sort of like the Cardi B effect, right? Like after Cardi blew, every label wanted to sign somebody who was sort of analogous to her, or so they thought. And I would be in so many conversations with men, and they would say the same thing. Everyone looks alike, they sound alike, they're too promiscuous, they're too this, they only talk about that, blah, blah, blah. Mind you, like they never would say that about a male artist who is also rapping about money, hoes, and clothes ad nauseum, but that's fine. And it's like women can't win. If they go and sort of like chop and screw their bodies, okay, you gave in and you have, low self-esteem. But if they look natural, all of a sudden, like, oh, I wouldn't date her. If they're seen with too many men, okay, now you're promiscuous and you're a hoe and nobody likes you. But if you don't date anyone, well, okay, wait, you're cold and there must be something wrong with you. Like women in hip hop can never win. And my advice for any sort of like fellow woman in the game is like, just do you. Like at the end of the day, you're damned if you do, you're damned if you don't. And the people who will love you and support you, like they're going to gravitate towards you. And I think that's just something that Doechii is doing, and she's doing it really well. And you really can't say anything about her. Like she's getting all of these wins because she deserves those wins. And the reason that people like her, not just in hip hop, but also in pop music, pop culture, fashion. I mean, if you want to see who killed Paris Fashion Week 2025, like it's Doechii. She looked amazing. Like this girl can wear Schiaparelli, Chloe, D squared, and she's like this shapeshifter. Like I was getting a lot of Grace Jones vibes almost. And it just was so fun to watch, right? Like as someone who wrote a book about hip hop and fashion, just seeing her made me so happy. Like it's so cool to just see a fresh face, somebody who's excited, and also very much it feels organic. Like it didn't feel like someone was forcing her to do this. She just seems like she's in her element. And I think that's fun. And anybody who, doesn't like her because she's getting all these wins, getting these opportunities, or the fact that she can probably out-rap a lot of your favorite male artists out right now, like that's just on you. And I really, just really applaud Doechii for being herself. I think she's such an amazing role model, not just for young girls coming up, but also for this industry as a whole. Like so many of these issues that, Andre G has pointed out in this article, they continue to plague hip hop. Misogyny, queerphobia, colorism, all of these things. And if there's an artist who's able to sort of break down some of those barriers, I think that's an amazing thing. So all in all, I love Doechii. I think she is the biggest artist right now. She's just winning hip hop right now. And I'm really just proud of her, and I'm going to continue to support her. So that's kind of what I think about Doechii. But I would love to know what you think. Are you a Doechii fan? The comment section will be only for fans and good vibes and good energy. But I would love to know just what about her excites you? Why do you think she's just like this MVP this year and everyone is supporting her? I would just love to know your thoughts and what you think her success means, not just for women in hip hop, but hip hop as a whole. Let me know in the comments.